And so I'm going to put so I can see all of you as well. Okay, brilliant. So we're going to start off in a nice, comfortably seated position, wherever that might mean for you. You can sit cross-legged, you can sit however you want, so long as your spine is long. We're just going to shake the arms a little bit, let go of the arms. Welcome the cat in the corner there. And tell you what, because you're on mute and no one can hear you, make a sound, make some sort of sound, any sound that comes to you. It could be a growl, a scream, whatever it is that you want, just moving. Brilliant, excellent. And again, if you feel like you want to make a sound, or maybe you just want to be very still. Okay. And then when you're ready, finding your comfortably seated position wherever your back is more or less straight. And then you can slide your shoulders down your back, keeping your chin parallel to the floor, and then just flop your arms wherever they feel comfortable. Nice. And then, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes and just focusing on your breath. Maybe your heart is beating a little bit from all of our moving around. Maybe your heart's quite slow, maybe it's fast. Maybe you can't even feel it, that's okay. So nice deep breaths. And with your eyes closed, if you have your eyes closed, just taking a moment just to check in with your body, to see how you're feeling. No judgment, doesn't matter if you feel tired or super hyper or slow or fast or in between. Just taking a moment to just check in with where you are. And it's also a good moment in our yoga practice to set an intention if you want one, or to set the intention to allow the practice to be whatever it is. It's your practice, it's your moment. And then if you have your eyes closed, keeping them closed and bring your awareness to the shape of your body. So whatever shape you're in, just the outline of your body. And then the weight of your body on the floor. And at the same time, the floor pushing back at you so that you can sit on it. Okay, and then bringing the awareness fully back into the body. When you're ready, opening the eyes, and we're going to come to all fours. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Should be able to see me hopefully. Nice. And then like we did last week, we're going to start again as you inhale, stretching your chin up and your shoulders back. And as you exhale, looking down and pulling your belly button towards your spine. And you can do this in your own breath, in your own time, just beginning to move the spine with your breath. And if this feels a little bit too rigid, then you can always move your spine in a way that feels more comfortable for you. But with whatever you're doing, try to keep moving with your breath. And take a few more breaths, whichever way you're choosing to move. And then as you inhale, coming back into tabletop. And then bringing your knees out a little bit wider, bringing your heels down and bring your hips towards your heels, bring your hands forward into your child position. So wherever it feels comfortable for you to come down to, and then bring your head and forehead down on the ground, relaxing the neck and the head. And again, breathing into this. And allowing yourself to sink into your hips. And then on your next inhale, coming onto your hands, just coming up a little bit. And then pushing back up onto your hands, tucking your toes under. And then again, bringing that straight line from your hands to your hips and then starting to push up with your legs, coming into your downward dog. So keeping the knees bent and pushing the hips up towards the ceiling, dropping your neck and head down. So you're stretching from your hands all the way up to your hips, keeping those knees bent, or if you want to, you can slowly start to straighten one knee and then the other knee out. And keep on breathing, make sure that you're breathing. Very nice. And then as you inhale, coming down onto your knees again, bring the knees out a little bit wider. And again, coming down into your child's pose. Coming all the way down, bringing the neck and the head down. And just releasing into the ground. You don't need to do anything here. You can just completely relax your body. And then inhale, coming back up to your downward dog. So same as before, tucking your toes under, pushing the hips up, and then slowly patting the feet down towards your mat. We're just going to do this a couple of times because I don't know about where you are, but it's very cold here and I feel like we need to start up a little bit gently. So nice deep breaths. And this is quite a strong pose in itself. It's quite an active pose, so it's not like we're not doing anything. And then one more deep breath. And as you exhale, coming down to your knees, bring your knees a little bit further away. And exhale, coming down into your child's pose. We're going to do this one more time. So while you're here, nice deep breaths, no need to do anything. You can drop your head down onto the mat and just relax. And then inhale, coming onto your hands. And then tucking the toes under, pushing the hips up. And again, patting the feet. Okay, nice deep breath. And we're going to start to get a little bit more active. So a couple of deep breaths here, pushing the shoulder blades away from one another. And then slowly starting to step your feet towards your hands, keeping your knees bent. And then bending the knees all the way, bringing your weight onto your hands, onto your feet, sorry. Inhale, stretch the hands forward, and exhale, gently folding down. Dropping the neck and the head down wherever feels comfortable. Nice deep breaths. And then inhale, you can choose to come up squatting, or you can choose to roll your way up. So inhale up this way, or inhale up this way. Nice deep breaths. And then if you're rolling up, bring your head up, very, very last thing. So rolling the shoulders back and then bring your head up. And then just take a moment, standing straight, so planting your feet into the ground, bending the knees slightly, bringing your belly button up towards your spine so that your back is long, pulling the shoulders back, chin parallel to the ground, and just take a moment here in this slightly funny caveman feeling position, just to plant yourself into the ground. Again, keeping your awareness on your breath. And as you inhale, bring the hands up, reaching up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bending the knees, coming all the way down. And then inhale, reaching your hands forward. And exhale, bringing your legs back into plank. And then knees, chest, and chin all the way down to the ground. Bring your forearms on the ground. And pulling yourself slightly forward from your forearms, pushing your shoulders back, looking up. And exhale, bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And as you inhale, pushing up onto your knees. And again, pressing up into your down dog. Nice deep breaths. And then inhale, bring the feet forwards towards the hands. Keep the knees bent like we did last time. Bring your weight onto your feet. Inhale, reaching forward. Exhale, folding down. Keeping the knees bent, letting go of the neck and head. Have 1 to 2 deep breaths here. And then inhale, again, either pushing up or rolling all the way up into standing. Nice deep breaths as you come up. Rolling the shoulders back. Very nice. And then coming to the front of your mat, wherever your mat might be, and taking a big step down. Turning your right foot out. Left foot comes in slightly. Bring the hands out, shoulder height. And then as you inhale, reaching down towards your right. Exhale, come down. Either onto your leg, whatever you do, not onto your knee. So either above your knee or below your knee. And then roll your left shoulder on top of your right shoulder. Bring your hand up. And inhale. You can choose to look straight in front of you, or if you're feeling confident and stable, then you can look up towards the ceiling. Wherever you are, make sure that you still have space to breathe, and that's the most important thing. Don't do anything that's painful, only stretchy pain is good. And one more deep breath. As you exhale, looking down, inhale, slight bend in the knee, coming up. Change the feet round, so pointing the left foot forward, right foot back slightly, squaring the hips to the front of this imaginary class, and bringing the hands out, reaching over to the left, coming down onto the leg, not onto the knee, and then square your hip, square your shoulders, bring your hand up, and either looking forward, or if you're feeling comfortable, looking up towards the ceiling. Nice deep breaths. You should feel a nice stretch in the side of your body. And then as you exhale, looking down, slight bend in the knee, coming up, inhale. We're gonna bring the feet out slightly wider. And again, turn your right foot to the right. Bring your left foot in slightly, bending your right leg, making sure that your knee doesn't come past your ankle. So you want it always to stay on this side of your knee. And bring your right arm to your leg. Left hand traces a line from your left foot all the way to your left hand. Nice deep breaths. And again, looking forward, or if you're feeling comfortable, you can look towards your left hand. But this is a little bit trickier for your balance. And a couple of deep breaths here. Careful, Annie, don't fall over. I saw that. Nice deep breath, and inhale, coming back up. And switching the feet, so pointing your left foot forward, right foot comes in slightly, bending that left knee, making sure it doesn't come past your ankle, so slide your body down to the right. And then bring your left arm on top of your left leg and trace that line from your right foot to your right hand. Make sure you stay in a position where you feel stable. Nice deep breaths. If you're comfortable, you can look up towards your hands, but it's definitely a bit more difficult to balance. And the main thing is that you can feel that stretch from your right hip all the way to your right hand. Also, if you fall over, it's okay. Totally normal. Nice deep breaths. And then inhale, looking down. Exhale, coming up. And then stepping to the middle of the mat and just having a little shake, because there's a lot of stretching in either direction. So nice big shake. And again, make a sound. If you feel like you need to make a sound, and like, oh, this Wednesday, this week. Ugh. Okay, nice. And then again, coming to the top of your mat, wherever that was, bring your feet hip width distance apart. Planting your feet into the mat. Nice little bend in the knees. Pulling the pelvis up so straight, so you don't want it to be too tilted too far forward or too far back. Just in the middle. Bring the belly button up towards the spine, and then rolling the shoulders down, chin parallel to the floor. And just taking a couple of deep breaths. Again, just watching where your heart is, watching where your breath is. Taking some deep breaths. And then inhale, bring the hands up. And exhale, folding down, making sure that your knees stay bent. Inhale, lengthen forward slightly. Exhale, folding down. Keep the knees bent. Inhale, hands come forward. Exhale, legs come back. Inhale into plank. And bring the knees, chest, chin down to the ground. And then bring the legs down. Again, bring the forearms forward. And inhale, looking up, so stretching your upper back. And exhale, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, and inhale, come onto the knees and hands. Bring the legs and the knees out, and bring your hips towards the heels. I always want to say heels towards the hips. Same thing. And exhale, stretching down, dropping the neck and head, and relaxing into the floor. And maybe here you want to wiggle slightly from side to side. Maybe one side is a little bit tighter than the other and you want to stretch it out a little bit more. And then inhale, coming onto your hands and knees. And then you can cross your shins and roll back into seated. Or if that's really uncomfortable for your knees, you can just come into seated position, however feels comfortable for you. And bring your legs out to about 90 degrees, more or less. We're not aiming for any kinds of splits here. We're just making sure that our legs are in a nice comfortable position. And bending your knees so that your back is again straight. However much your knees need to be bent. You might be super comfortable down here or you might be here. Wherever is fine. And then placing your hands somewhere that feels comfortable on your legs. Rolling your shoulders back and just breathing. So the aim here is not to use the arms to keep yourself upright, but to use your core muscles to stay upright and also to stretch out the inside of your legs. So you kind of imagine that someone plonks like a little baby down on the floor and they just sort of sit there. That's what you're aiming for. So you can close the eyes if you like, or wherever you are, just nice deep breaths. And one more deep breath here. And then inhale, you're going to stretch the arms up. Imagine that someone's lifting you up from your pelvis and then coming forward. So we're not coming forward with your head exactly. It's just coming forward just a little bit. So I'm trying to come forward with my lower back as straight as I can. And maybe that means I'm only here. Because there's a lot of stretch on the inside of my legs. So I'm just staying, kind of closing myself like a book and finding that place that feels just about uncomfortable enough that I can stay there, and then just breathing into it. And it doesn't really matter where you are. The important thing is that there's a stretch going on. So nice deep breath. So this is great to do this class online because in person, when you do this and there's a room full of people who have completely mixed abilities, there'll be one person who's like here and crying, and there'll be another person who's completely flat on the ground doing the splits, and it's really hard to keep in your lane. But in this case, you can't see each other, so it's all fine. Main thing is that you focus on where you are. Nice deep breath. And it might be super uncomfortable, and that's okay. Okay, and then inhale. You're going to do something a little bit funky here already to begin with. So if you bring your shins close to your chest, and then just find a place, if you're holding onto your legs, where you can balance just on your just on your buttocks. So you're not leaning on your feet, you're just up onto your buttocks. And if you're pretty happy here, then you can take hold of the outside of your feet with both hands and just see if that feels okay. You might need to use your core muscles to keep yourself upright. Well, you definitely will do, but you might have to do it slightly more intentionally than you think. And nice deep breath. So here we're just playing around with where our feet go. So you might roll backwards, and I would suggest if you feel you're rolling, round your back so that you don't sort of smack your back down, just rolling. In fact, it's quite a good thing to practice, but we did that last week. So you're hearing you sort of rolling backwards and then rolling back up. And just figuring out where your feet are happy to go. Nice deep breath, looking upwards if you can. It'll also help you from rolling backwards. Nice deep breaths. And it's pretty shaky to begin with. Okay, bring the legs back down. So at this point you should have found where your feet go. And from here we're going to intentionally roll backwards. If you're comfortable with that. So, I lost my mat here. So coming up first onto your buttocks with lifting your legs up. And then taking hold of the sides of your feet if that feels comfortable. And you can also just stay here. We can roll back from here. If you brought your feet out a little bit wider, you can bring your feet out to where they were. Otherwise you're here. And then rolling your back and just allowing yourself to roll. So you can do that a couple of times if you want, but really rounding the back. And if where you are is not comfortable enough to do that, just do it once. And then bring your legs down. And if you're enjoying it, carry on. But one more roll backwards for everybody, and then bring your feet down. Okay, nice. So now you have your feet down, flat on the ground, hands next to you. And we're going to bring first one leg up. So starting with the right leg, keeping your left foot on the ground. Right leg is up in the air. Nice. And like we did last week, you can take hold of the back of your leg, or you can take hold of your big toe with two fingers and a thumb, or you can take hold of the outside of your foot, whichever feels more comfortable for you. And then whichever one you've gone for, bring your left hand to your left leg. And as you inhale, just finding a position where you feel that you can start to pull your leg a little bit closer to your body. It's not, again, we're not trying to put our feet to our head, but you can take your leg out to the side slightly and just see if there's a little bit more give on that side, or if it's just staying where it is, doesn't want to go anywhere else. That's also fine. So wherever you are, find a place that's more or less comfortable, and then just take a few deep breaths into that position. And then slowly exhale, bring the leg down. You can bring it down straight or bend the knee. Inhale, bring the left leg up or the opposite leg, and we're doing exactly the same thing. So find a place where you feel comfortable, and then either taking hold of the back of the leg or taking hold of the big toe with two fingers and a thumb, or the side of your foot, whatever feels more comfortable. And then bringing your right leg and right hand to your right thigh, and just finding that place that's just about comfortable enough. And again, just breathing into the back of your leg. Nice deep breaths. Try to rest your back on the ground. Try not to keep your back tense, because here it's just the leg that's doing the work. And then inhale, letting go, and slowly bring the left leg back down. And then again, bring your right leg up, finding a place that's comfortable. Maybe this time you want to try taking hold of the big toe or the outside of your foot. And then bring your left hand to your left thigh and slowly sliding that leg towards the floor. And again, see how that changes things. Wherever you are, nice deep breaths. And then slowly letting go of that right leg, bring it all the way back down to the floor. You can bend your knee and bring it down. And starting with both knees bent. Inhale, bring the left leg up. Taking hold of the left leg wherever it feels good, wherever it feels comfortable, and then bring your right hand to your right thigh. And when you're ready, slowly bring the right leg down towards the floor. And again, nice deep breaths into the back of your left leg. And one more deep breath here. And slowly exhale, bring the left leg all the way down to the floor. Very nice. So you can stay here for a minute, or we're going to do another little vinyasa. So we have a little sequence. So bring your shins, crossing your shins, taking hold of your feet. And we're going to do a little bit more rocking again. So inhale, rocking back, exhale, rocking forward. You might want to do this a couple of times before you rock all the way forward, or just coming to seated. And again, either rolling forward over the bent knees or just coming straight into into your hands, onto your tabletop, onto your hands and knees. Tucking the toes underneath you and slowly pushing into your downwards dog. Again, patting the feet here, nice deep breaths. So pushing the hips up towards the ceiling, making a nice straight line from your hands all the way to your hips, bending the knees, nice deep breaths. And then inhale, coming forward onto your hands, and then knees, chest, and chin, all the way down to the floor. And bringing either the forearms down to the ground and pushing up, or if you want to go a little bit deeper, then you can bring your hands underneath your shoulders, starting to push up. So not all the way, just pushing up a little bit, looking up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, coming down and engaging the core, coming onto your knees and hands. And again, crossing the shins and rolling back into seated or coming to seated. And we're going to do a couple of twists. So like we did last week, coming down again onto your back, bringing your hands out shoulder height, and then keeping your knees together, just dropping your knees over to your left and looking over to your right. So you can keep your hands down where they are, or you can also just bring your hand over your legs, whatever feels comfortable. So your knees are one way, your head is the other way. And you're just allowing your shoulders to melt back down into the floor. And again, nice deep breaths. And then inhale, slowly bring the legs back towards the middle. And exhale, dropping them over towards the right as you then turn your head looking over to the left. So really just allowing yourself to drop your legs onto the floor, no effort with the legs, no effort with the arms. Making sure your neck and head feel comfortable. Nice deep breaths. And then inhale, bring your legs back towards the middle. You can do exactly the same thing we've just done, or if you want a little bit of a deeper stretch, you can cross your right leg over your left leg and then drop it over to the left, or just bring your knees down to the left like we did before, and then finding a place where your neck and head feel comfortable and okay, looking over to the right, the opposite direction of your legs. And again, just allowing your shoulders to melt into the floor. Once you've got yourself in the position, nice and passively, allow gravity to do the rest of the work for you. And then as you inhale, slowly unwrapping the legs as you bring them up. And if you were wrapped in one direction, then wrapping your legs the other way, and then dropping them over to your right and looking over to your left. And again, just allowing yourself to melt into the floor. Nice deep breaths. And then inhale, slowly coming back to the middle, unwrapping the legs. And then you can either come into seated in your own way or crossing the shins, taking hold of the feet. Inhale, rocking backward. Exhale, rocking forward. Do it a couple of times if it feels good. Coming all the way back up to seated. And again, you can take a pause here for a moment, or you can join us in another vinyasa. So rolling forward or stepping forward onto all fours. Bring the legs back and coming into your downward dog. I promise this is going to be one of the last of the few downward dogs that we're doing. And hopefully they're getting a little bit easier. Patting the feet if that feels comfortable. Stretching from your hands all the way to your hips. Nice deep breaths. Inhale, coming forward onto your knees, chest and chin. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, coming down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and coming up onto your knees. Bring your knees up and coming down into your child's pose. And just taking a rest here again. So allowing yourself to just melt into the floor. Maybe the hips are starting to feel a little bit different as well. Maybe hopefully they're slightly looser than at the start. And just relaxing the neck and the head down. And then inhale, coming back onto all fours. And again, either crossing the shins and rolling back or coming back to seated in another way, more comfortable way. And crossing the shins, bringing the hands down next to your sides. And then just pushing, starting to push your weight up. You can use your feet, or if you have your feet really close up to your body, you can just use your hands. But we're just practicing, just pushing up a little bit off the floor. Maybe this feels a bit impossible and you really have to bring your weight forward. Maybe it's quite a lot on your wrists. If so, you can rest on your knuckles. Just starting to bring your weight upwards. Excellent. And then rolling back down to the floor, nice and slowly. And we're just going to do one more asana before we do our closing sequence. So bringing the heels towards the hips, hands down to the floor. And like we did last week, the beginning of the bridge, so pushing the hips up towards the ceiling. You can leave your hands on the floor or you can interlace your fingers, looking up towards the ceiling. Nice deep breaths. So making sure that your knees stay parallel, they're not going in towards one another or out. Everything nice and straight. And exhale, rolling your spine back down to the floor. I'm going to do that one more time. So just take a moment here before we go again. And inhale, bring hips back up towards the spine, up towards the ceiling. And you can try and push them up a little bit further. And exhale, bring the hips all the way back down. And then bring the shins. I'm probably crossing up my words today. Bring the knees in towards the chest and gently rolling from side to side. So onto our shoulder stand. We have two versions of our shoulder stand for you this evening. So one, the simplest of the shoulder stands, just bring the legs up towards the ceiling, hands down to the sides, and you can stay here. This is a perfectly reasonable shoulder stand. Or if you want to go actually up onto your shoulders and you're not quite sure how, maybe have a look first before you go into it. So if you want to go up onto your shoulders, don't look at the screen once you start because your neck needs to be straight. It's a lot of pressure on your neck. So you come forward with your feet up over your head. You bring your hands onto your back. And then you slowly push your feet up towards the ceiling so that the majority of your weight is on the back of your arms. And you're looking up towards your feet and you can stay here. Once you're up there, don't move your neck. Or you can just stay here with your feet up towards the ceiling. Whatever you choose, you're aiming for about 8 of your own deep breaths. And once you finish with your 8 deep breaths, then you can come back down into this position. Very nice. Okay. And then from here, again, you can either bring your knees just into your chest, or if your neck feels okay, then you can bring your feet up and over your head. So it's like as you come down from your shoulder stand, and you bring your hands just to your back. You can keep your legs straight or bending your knees and placing them on or near your forehead. You can keep your hands on your back, or if that feels okay, then you can bring your hands all the way down next to you. And again, about 4 of your own deep breaths, wherever you are, before you bring your legs all the way back down to the floor. And when you do start to bring your leg back down to the floor, go really slowly as you unwind your spine back down towards the floor. And then bringing the legs down, either straight or bending the knees when it feels like it's a bit too much. All the way down to the floor. Nice, very nice. And then the last counter posture to that, because we've done a lot of back bending forwards, is the back bend backwards. So coming up onto your elbows, a little bit onto your elbows, so not too far back. You want them slightly down your spine, puffing your chest up towards the ceiling and bringing the top of your head down onto the floor. So you puff your chest up. Most of the weight is in your arms and on the top of your head. Nice deep breaths. Again, about 3 to 4 of your own deep breaths here. And then when you're done, tucking your chin into your spine and slowly coming down. And then once you're ready to go into your savasana, just before you get really comfortable, find your blanket if you feel like you need it, if you want to stay nice and warm. The reward for all the hard work is the shavasana. So finding a nice comfortable position. You can even put your socks back on if your feet feel cold. I'm trying to stay nice and cozy. And then bring the feet out towards the sides of your mat. So bring the hands out to the sides of your mat, palms facing up. And then just closing the eyes. And letting go of any way in which you were breathing. And letting go of the practice. And just scanning your body from the top of your head all the way down to the soles of your feet. Just allowing yourself to release any tension. So releasing any tension in the top of your head, in your forehead, in your eyes, in your ears, and even in your nose. Releasing any tension in the mouth, the tongue, and the jaw. Maybe allowing your mouth to be slightly open. Releasing any tension in the neck and in the throat, in the shoulders, down the arms, in your elbows, your wrists, your fingers. Releasing any tension in your chest and down your back. Releasing any tension in your abdomen and in your hips and thighs, back of your legs, the knees, back of the knees, the calves, the shins, and then finally your ankles and your toes. And just allowing each body part to melt into the floor beneath you. Letting go of everything that we've just done. And for the next few minutes, just allowing any thoughts that pop into your head just to come and go. Trying not to get too caught up with any one thought. Just allowing them to pass through your mind like more like adverts than thoughts. And then now just allowing your mind to do whatever it wants to do. There's one thing that's bugging you, just allowing yourself to think about it, allowing your mind to wander, to imagine. And slowly bring your awareness back to your breath. This is just observing the breath, whether you're breathing shallow or deep, fast or slow. And then starting to take some more intentional, deeper breaths, filling your whole body. Breathing all the way to the tips of your fingers and to the tips of your toes. And imagining that you're filling the whole outline of your body with breath. And then again, keeping the eyes closed, bringing your awareness to the actual outline of your body, to the shape and that feeling of weightiness of your body on the floor. And then again, keeping the eyes closed, very slowly bringing some movement back to your toes and to your fingers. And then very slowly to the wrists and to the ankles. And then very slowly bringing the hands up over the head and having a big morning stretch as if you just woke up from a full night of sleeping. Just rediscovering all the nooks and crannies as you stretch. And then keeping the eyes closed if you feel comfortable in your own time, slowly coming back up to a comfortably seated position. And then very gently growing into the space above your head. Again, placing the arms somewhere where they feel comfortable and just allowing your shoulders to rest down. And just taking a moment to thank yourself for having taken an hour out of your day to look after yourself, to stretch, to get more in touch with your body. Maybe revisiting that intention if you set one for yourself at the start of the practice. And then when you're ready, slowly opening your eyes, coming back into the room, and remembering where you are and who you are. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. It's so lovely to see all of your faces and to have followed your practice a bit more this week. I could see you more. It was lovely. So we've got a few more minutes for questions, reflections, feedback, hellos, goodbyes.